why is it that we have a lot of, compared to population wise, why do we have a lot of black people that do crime?
Because black people are the most in poverty per capita.
Do you think poverty causes crime?
Yes. Poverty
No,
is
no,
heavily
stop,
linked to
no,
crime. What on earth are you talking about?
no. That's crazy. This is look. This is what I'm saying. When I said
What?
that, I
Who?
think with black people, you need things like stop and frisk. You need things like
Oh,
more police. You need things like yes, because it keeps the crime rate low. So when you have that, now you have a bunch of people.
Listen, let's not be
who want
disingenuous here. Why is there a lot of crime?
because it's a lot of people.
It's not just because it's a lot of people.
Then why is there a lot of crime?
because people would just rather go and do crime and steal and do stuff like that instead of getting a job. That's exactly why, and I truly believe that.
That's
You know what I'm saying? Drop a like, leave a comment, let me know you're in here. We finna have fun tonight.
So I guess I'm finna have a conversation with somebody that vehemently disagrees with a lot of my perspective and Watts as well. He be under my videos, he be under Watts' videos, just disagreeing with everything we say, and I think a lot of his positions are reprehensible. So I told him, we need to talk because I hate arguing with people in the comments. If they be willing to engage back and forth, so when they in the comments, it's annoying. Because you can't really make good points in comments, especially when YouTube be deleting comments if you use certain words and all that shit. That shit is annoying.
All right, can you hear me now? Maybe that's better.
Yeah.
Oh, that's much better.
Okay.
So, where do you want to start first?
What's first? You said a lot of shit. So let's talk about your misunderstanding of what DEI is.
Okay, you go first.
No, you tell me what you think it is.
So from the research that I was doing on DEI, the reason why it exists, I can't remember exactly who did the study that I read. There was a few studies, but the one thing that every one of them had in common was that DEI was put in place because of the fact it wanted to make people of color more recognizable in the job market so they didn't get discriminated against in most white spheres or something like that, so they weren't overlooked, because society has this idea that people of color and black people in general, we're so systemically oppressed that we get overlooked for qualified positions at jobs and whatnot, and they'll market it as it's for everyone, trying to make everyone qualified, or I'm sorry, get everyone who is qualified for the job. But I feel like that's just a dog whistle. So I want to know your perspective on that.
Wait, so you described it and then just said it's a dog whistle. Do you okay, so it sounds like you think it's affirmative action, which it isn't. You understand that, right?
No, I know it's different.
Okay. So
It's
what do you
affirmative
mean
action
is
if I'm
just what does just a dog whistle mean?
what is a dog, like dog whistle, like when
No,
you're
I'm in this context. I know what a dog whistle is, but in this context, how is it a dog whistle to what?
black people.
Okay, maybe you don't. A dog whistle means like you have an undertone of something to signal to other people that what your real intention is, but you're not being upfront about it, and it's usually a negative one. So, what's the dog whistle to black people? And one on top of that, DEI isn't just for black people, so I don't know why you're making it
Well,
just
so
about
then
black people.
tell me in your words, what do you think DEI is for?
DEI is just companies, businesses, organizations to make themselves more visible to a larger pool of people that may have been overlooked at a point in time, which includes people of color, women, people of different sexual orientations, and people with disabilities.
So why does nobody ever make that type of distinction or bring up that type of definition when they're talking about DEI?
If you only listen to right-wing people, of course they're not, because they're liars.
No, this is something I hear from the left.
People that's on the left fully understand this concept. When you just listen to people that's on the right, because I'm not saying this because you're like as if you're a bad person, but if you're right wing, you don't hear this type of stuff. They just lie to you.
Well, contrary to belief, this is actually stuff that I hear from the left a lot. They'll say that it's specifically for helping people of color because of the fact that they believe that black people are systemically oppressed in the United States. So it's to help them. This is all from what I hear from the left. You are right that I do hear some of this from the right as well. But when it comes to justifying DEI, this is something that I hear way more from on the left to try and justify as to why we should continue it.
Well, acknowledging that it helps black people doesn't negate the fact that it helps other people. Like if
But why
I
do
mean,
we?
of course, black people are going to speak on that the most because that's how they relate to it. So if you went into a community of disabled people, they'll say it's helping disabled people, probably, right? If women are saying it helps them, you know what I'm saying? Especially if you're not a black woman, black women gonna say black and woman, but it helps, yeah, and it helps white women the most. That's who's benefited the most from it. But regardless, like when you're saying that I don't hear that from the left, I don't know what conversations you're hearing, but anybody that's good faith knows that's what it is. If you're not just ignorant to the concept, that's what it's for.
So you are the only person, and I go on. I don't go on lives on here a lot. I usually go on lives a lot on more TikTok, and I have like different conversations with different political party people of different political parties, and that's one of the things that I hear for them justifying DEI. You're like the only person that I've ever heard describe it in that way. The only thing that I will say that you are saying that of what the left will also say is that it helps white people the most. But here's my thing: what if why do we need something like DEI when there is there's no example. I wouldn't say example. There's nothing there to suggest that people are I'm sorry, not getting qualified for the job despite them having qualifications, because of their race, gender, etc. Why do we need these implemented in society?
Because it is an issue. Because it's like you can't sit here and pretend that like and don't confuse me saying that black people are 13% of the population, therefore we need to be represented everywhere at 13%. We understand that's not what I'm saying, right?
Sure.
I'm not ever making that argument. But you can't sit here and say that like black women are the most educated group in America, and then when you turn around and look at like people with higher prestige jobs or people that have careers. First of all, first example is somebody like Kamala Harris, like one of the most accredited, accomplished people in this to run for president, and she's called a DEI hire. What does that tell you? Don't that tell you that people probably look at black people differently?
Sure.
Exactly. So it's
But
just
why do you
like
think that
there's
is?
people because of fucking bigotry, fucking internal bias.
I think more it has to do with the fact that a lot of times we as black people, tend to victimize ourselves the most.
What the hell does that have to do with Kamala being extremely accomplished?
Because you said that the people are saying that she's a DEI hire.
Yes. Yes.
So what
That
I'm
is
saying is that the reason why people would think that, right? The reason why people would think that, even if it's not true, reason why people would think that is because a lot of times we do tend to victimize ourselves so much.
hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, I didn't know if you cut out or you stopped talking.
Oh no, I stopped.
Oh, so that's not addressing why. What does us being victimized have to, or if I granted you that black people I don't agree, but if I granted you that black people victimize themselves, how does that translate to other people saying Kamala's a DEI hire, being the most credentialed presidential candidate ever?
I just explained it because of the fact that we tend to victimize ourselves, and that's why a lot of people will look at her and be like, "Oh, she must be like a DI hire," because she's representing a certain party that constantly victimizes us at the same time.
But that means that that tells me that people just don't care about facts, reality, or the truth, or look into anything. They just say shit, or they just saw a black woman and say she don't deserve it.
Well, let me ask you this: do you believe that in the United States that majority of black individuals tend to victimize themselves?
No, I don't believe it's majority. I think it's a loud minority. I don't think
And
majority of black and I think that's a common misconception that y'all be associating like all black people with like low income, ghetto, ratchet stuff. Like that's not even the majority of black people. I think that's a common misconception too. too.
Well, here's the thing. I will agree with you that I don't think every single black person falls into that category of, trying to victimize themselves because you know what, like we're seeing it right now in real time. A lot of black people are tending to push back against this narrative. But what I will say is that, we do have I would say there's a select majority of black individuals who do kind of blame the system as to why they're not where they're at in life or why they are not successful or whatnot. And that's why you even have black people who came up like, or I don't know if they came up with it, but they're pushing this thing called nigga fatigue. They're like, oh, dude, it's nothing. Not everything is racism. Not everything is because systemic oppression. Not everything is because the white man or white supremacy. So
I mean, I agree. I don't think everything is. I think there are black people that blame everything on the system and white people. But are you pretending that that doesn't exist in any fashion? Do you think that there's
systemically,
no
no.
do you think there's no merit to some black people having it harder because of our history?
I, I think nowadays it's by choice. I don't think that it's necessarily because of things like white supremacy.
It's not by choice. It's
Look,
not
man,
by choice.
I think
Cause
look.
this, cause this, cause the same situation affects like white people too. It's not a choice to be like poor in all cases.
I would say for the majority, I think that if I'm going to be completely honest here, I think there are certain situations in where somebody is poor not by choice. For example, you're disabled, you're only allowed so much income when you're on SSI disability, or somebody who is like a veteran. Um, or somebody who again I would say like disabled, but for the majority of people, man, I do believe that majority of people who are poor is because of either poor financial decisions, poor decisions that they're making in their life as to why they are poor in the first place or staying poor. Because I do believe that if you're able-bodied, that stay being poor because of unfortunate circumstances is one thing, but staying poor is another.
How can you say that? Like, how, do you like staying poor? I don't even know what you mean by staying poor. Like, nobody wants that. But
You're
having,
right, nobody.
but if you lack access, I'm not saying that people can't change their circumstances by any means, but you can't ignore that circumstances can mold you into what you have access to. In some cases, nobody stays poor because they want to be poor. Like, nobody wants to.
I disagree. I think a lot of people don't want to do what it takes to not be poor. I do agree that there's a select few people out there who are not poor by choice. I just gave you an example, like with disabled people or people who are on SSI who have to rely on government assistance, and that doesn't really give you a lot of money, and you're not able to do a whole lot if you're on disability.
So,
But
so
I
wouldn't
do
that
believe
apply to black people that's been born into a circumstance where they don't have a lot of resources, don't they have to live off government assistance and they don't have the best education? What does it mean to like it just sounds like you're saying like these people are poor, they recognize it and they just choose to be in that type of lifestyle when 9 times out of 10 that's not the case.
I would not say that's 9 out of 10 times not the case, because there's so many opportunities, there's so many places, there's
Says
so many
who?
things to
How
do.
do how
You live in the United States. You have people coming over here from intense conditions a lot of the times, dying a lot of the times to try and come over here. Let me say
No,
this
I'm not
right.
saying
When
there's
I was
not opportunity, but you can't sit here and act like just because you. Never mind. It doesn't matter. Do you know what survivorship bias is?
enlighten me.
It's survivorship bias means like I'm not saying you. I don't know none of your background. I didn't want to ask it because I didn't want you to think that it would tailor my answer, what I'm about to say.
No, you
But
can ask
basically,
whatever. I'm not. I'm okay. You can ask whatever.
it don't matter. Survivorship bias is I made it, therefore everybody else can made it or can make it. Or you see somebody that's made it out of a hard situation, therefore everybody can make it. And then you ignore everybody else that doesn't make it out because you're highlighting and only focused on people that have did what's not usually the case. It's like you're looking at the exceptions and say, look, they did it, you can too. And that's not how life works in any situation, especially if you come from circumstances that already hinder you.
Well, as a person, I would say this. I did come from a somewhat impoverished background. My parents were dirt poor, and they did what they could do to to feed us and to make sure that we were thriving. But one of the things that my parents did say with that, what that held them back, was the fact that they had us way too early when they were really young. They said that was a major setback in them. Not to say they regretted having us, but you could acknowledge that when you have a kid way, way, way too early, it's going to hinder you from trying to make it in life, because you now have, especially if you have multiple kids, you have more responsibilities. It's going to be harder to really work as hard as you really want to without those responsibilities in the way. So my whole thing is, I know you disagree with this, but I do believe with if somebody can make it, you can too, because we're one of the best countries in the world. We're not perfect, but I would say we're the best house in the crappy neighborhood. We have opportunities unlike most places in society, and to the point where you even have immigrants coming over here. And like, the hardest working people, honestly, are immigrants. They work harder than anyone I've ever seen in my life. And I'll bring this little story, right? When I
Wait,
was
hold
going
on,
to school.
wait. If you didn't tell the story, hold on. I got to shout out Roshan for just. Shout out to Roshan for the $10 tip. She said, for your patience. Thank you so much for the tip, Roshan. I appreciate you. Okay. You said you had a story.
Yeah, when I was going to school, right? My school was predominantly Asians and Indians. And when I was going to school, I remember, and I'll never forget this, when I would, go to lunch or recess or whatnot, a lot of these kids would stay in the classrooms doing their homeworks and stuff like that. And I never understood why. I was like, yo, dude, like, come on, let's go outside and have recess or whatnot. And they'd be like, no, no, I gotta study, I gotta study, I gotta study. And guess what? These kids graduated, they went to college, they graduated college with successful degrees, and they made it. So I think we need to stop making excuses for a lot of people who aren't willing to do a lot of the work that it takes to become successful. And here's the thing: you're just gonna have to adapt, because that's just how reality is. Like, we're seeing inflation, we're seeing a lot of the things in society. You're just gonna have to adapt. You can't just sit there and be stagnant and expect everyone to give you handouts.
Why are you're presupposing so much? Why do you think people are waiting for handouts? Why do you think that everybody is just like, again, you just agreed with survivorship bias, which isn't a good thing. You can't sit here and say that that some people are in bad circumstances and then just be, it's like you acknowledging that some people don't have control and then you're still saying fuck that. It's like, I agree. I don't think people should look for excuses or look for handouts or not do anything because they've been dealt a bad hand. But the reality is, some people's hands are so bad, they don't have a choice but to play with that hand and get fucked at the end of the day. And it's like, you don't give a fuck about that, because it's literally a thing, though. If you know it's a thing, you can't sit here and act like it's not. Like, I don't really care about what people are online saying, because I know some of those people to be like, black people have it hard, and they like don't have it hard. I don't care about that. But there are literally people struggling, and it's like, yeah, lift yourself up by your bootstraps, when it's like, well, they don't even have boots, bro.
Listen, man, like, I think you're giving a lot of these people an out. Like I said,
Wait,
if
okay,
you
so
had, if you had,
what's an acceptable amount of people that just cannot lift themselves up to you? Because it's like,
well, that was my question to you. What do you think is, like, what? Give me an example besides someone being disabled, because I think we agree on that.
why?
Besides someone being disabled, give me an example of not being able to make it out of a certain situation.
Somebody that has been born into the worst parts of their neighborhood, with one parent, with a terrible school system, with no guidance, no extracurricular activities. I'm just, even in that circumstance, I'm not saying there's absolutely no way they can make it. But if you hear their story and see, it's like, I empathize, I get it, and then you just want to help those people and be empathetic to their situation and do what's best for them, so they don't become a trouble to society, which they're already more likely to with all those things against them. But so, at what point is they're just supposed to be like, I want better? Like, yes, some people can do that, but that's just, you can't just act like that's just, you just flip a switch and people be like, yeah, I'm finna change my life for the good. It's like, yeah,
Well, yeah, because here's the thing.
there's some people that can do that for certain, but that's not everybody, and that's the reality of it.
Well, here's the thing. Let's talk about, like, the black community, because you and I are black. I think one of the biggest reasons as to why a lot of us black people are being held back in society is because of our culture. Because we're not encouraging our young black men and women to actually, do what they can to make it.
we're teaching a lot of degeneracy. A lot of the content that we consume, especially from black media, is not the best for, young black audience, especially when you have the left that's constantly victimizing us. Because I used to be a part of the left, and they would always tell me like, oh, you're black, you're not going to really be able to make it, you're not going to be this and that because America hates you, it's white supremacy keeping you down and whatnot. And I used to buy into that until, like, my father was like, no, I'm an example of, I'm an immigrant over here, and I busted my ass to get somewhere, and look where we're at right now. We are not struggling. If you let people constantly tell you that you can't do it, and you're constantly making bad choices, which is one of the biggest reasons as to why a lot of people are poor a lot of the time, is poor financial decision making, that's on you. It's not on anybody else. But we're not doing that.
Hold on. I think I got to sneeze. Hold on. Okay. I do think that some people do make bad financial decisions. I don't disagree with that. But I don't, first of all, culture is downstream from the facts of people's reality. Culture doesn't create the situation. Situations create the culture. Just like, I know it sounds like you're trying to allude to rap music and dancing and all that shit. All that shit come from what people actually going through to then make the music and the culture. And even still, you're assuming that like all black people listen to rap and all black people subscribe to hip hop culture, and that's not true as well. Like, you have so many presuppositions to the way that you frame your worldview is hindering you from understanding the reality of things. As somebody that's fully entrenched in hip hop culture and shit, I still recognize that it's not all black people or even 50% that subscribe to that culture. Hip hop only 50 years old. So there's a whole generation of people older than us that never even got involved with the shit. And then you got to think about the fact that where it started was from the fucking the history of what black people came from in this country and the conditions they was put in. And then you got the more recent version of it where people just faking their lifestyle to make money out of it. So like, that to me, that's an excuse to avoid a real conversation when y'all put out, oh, it's culture, it's culture. No, motherfuckers is living life a certain way in a real way that's affecting them and harming them, and y'all be like, it's the music. No, fuck that.
So then why aren't we seeing, well, actually no, we are. We're seeing more black people go into college, but it's not as much as we are hoping for, getting a degree or whatnot, becoming really successful. Why aren't we seeing a huge rise when it comes to this?
I mean, well, times are changing now when people are realizing they don't have to go to college to be successful. That's not even just a black thing. That's the world changing. More, especially with how much it costs. People are finding other ways to be successful, to make money, to start families. They don't have to do college. So college
Right.
rates are
Well, let
dropping.
me put it this way,
Period.
right? Okay. So you're right. I do believe that you can be successful without going to college. But what I am saying is that when you look at people in like STEM, when you look at people like who are trying to be lawyers, doctors, etc., um, you're not really seeing as much people of color versus other people really graduating with these like degrees. Now we're seeing a rise in more black people doing that. We're seeing a rise in more black people being business owners and whatnot. But it's still not to the point where I'm saying that this is a major change.
Okay, so let's work backwards from that. All right, you say you're not seeing enough black people. Why do what is the reason you probably, well, for one, we're a smaller part of the population. We can get that out the way. We're a smaller part of the population. After that, what do you think is the reason that they're not they're not getting higher education?
Because I don't think we encourage ourselves to do so.
You think that's more so than the fact that it's expensive as fuck?
Oh, it's expensive, but it's expensive for everyone.
But who's which demographic is the least likely to have that type of money to even do it?
Well, you want to say us, but here's the thing: why is it us?
Exactly. Why is it us? Why are black
Because
people?
of choice.
Why do we
It's
have the
not
lowest
because of white
income?
supremacy.
I
It's
didn't.
not
Did
because
I
of
even
white.
say the words white supremacy?
No, I'm giving an example because this is what I
No,
hear a lot.
but this is what I'm saying. You presuppose so much. Who said anything about white supremacy? I never
Us.
even
We're
said
always
that term.
talking about
Beside
it.
you, talking to me, bro. Who? Why are black people? Why do we have the least income? Why do we make the least amount of money as a demographic?
Because of choice. I just said it.
That's crazy. I feel like that, like if you really think everything is like about choice, then I don't even know how you operate in the real world, because just saying I'm not saying people don't make choices, but it's almost as if like you're trying your absolute best to not have the real conversation, and the conversation is not easy because it's not just choice. I can sit here and tell you that choices play a part, but the real conversation is there's a long history of things of why people end up in the circumstances that they end up in. It's not just like people be like R. Kelly did that to them kids because he's a creep. It's like, all right, well, why is he a creep? Because he's a creep. Like that's not even what's really happening. You don't even care about how people ended up in this situation. You're just trying to place blame and be done because you don't want to think about anything else because it doesn't make you feel good, or you feel like you're trying to justify bullshit. When I think about, like, when I talk to people about R. Kelly's situation, I'm not trying to justify his actions. What I am gonna do is explain how he ended up in that situation, and you still hold a level of responsibility, but you can't sit here and pretend like shit didn't happen prior to get to this point. So if you just be like, it's a choice, as if black people weren't fucking dealing with redlining, as if they weren't dealing with Jim Crow, as if they weren't dealing with racism, as they weren't dealing with discrimination. Like, you just ignore all that and then like, it's a choice. This shit
No,
don't
it's not
this
that
shit
I'm
don't happen
ignoring that.
overnight. And yes, I know that this shit happened decades ago, a long time ago, but we not finna sit here and act like it's just like, yeah, when I had some kids, I'm gonna change everything and then everything will be good. It don't work like that.
I disagree because here's the thing. I really believe that, yeah, of course, the things that black people went through in the past, with Jim Crow redlining, that was, not only tragic, it was messed up, and it did hold black people back from really becoming successful. But like what you just said, we are so far beyond that. I truly believe that America has completely changed, did a 180 to where we're no longer even trying to implement these type of systems in the United States to oppress or even make it harder for certain people. I just refuse to believe that. So there's no other argument as to why you would sit here and say, oh, well, there's other situations as to why somebody might be in this predicament. Sure, but it's also your choice as to why you stay in that predicament as well.
That's crazy to me. For you to say that it's just your choice is just it's just like thought terminating. It's just, and it doesn't get to the heart of anything, because it's like I said, it's like I'll come in your direction and say, yes, there's choices to be made, but you won't give any grounds to, unless you're disabled, to people that are just in fucked up situations trying to get out of it. It's like, no, there's no way that you can just be in such a bad situation that you can't come out of it until, let's circle this back, until you implement things like DEI is where you can actually give people more visibility, because we just totally went away from DEI. Unless you bring in things like that where people are putting their best foot forward and still getting looked over. And like I said, my prime example is Kamala, or even when fucking Charlie Kirk talked about that black fire chief that was 2 hours away from him, blaming him for fires, and also credentialed out of the ass and calling DEI. This is exactly why DEI is a thing, because people that are black still do what they're supposed to do and still don't get afforded opportunities. And those are two prime examples. And yeah.
So I want to know on a macro scale where you believe that, there's a bunch of black people not being afforded opportunities.
You on a macro scale, you said where?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
Yeah.
think it's I think it could be on a large, it could be being CEO to just being a manager at Ross or something. You know what I'm saying? And that's being a little facetious with the Ross thing. But I'm just saying, like, there's opportunities that people just don't even know about, or get extended an opportunity to get a chance to apply. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't put a number on that or anything like that. But in the rhetoric that you spew and the examples that we see in real time during this administration, we've seen it. Y'all calling people DEI hires that aren't DEI hires simply because they're black. And
Well, doesn't it prove my point that if they didn't get in by DEI hire, right, and they got in because of qualifications, then that kind of proves my point that we kind of don't need DEI if you have people that are able to get into these positions while qualified and really be successful at their jobs.
But then you still call them DEI. You don't even believe that they're qualified for it. And wait, so first of all, simply because some people have done it, it doesn't mean it's not a problem. That like just because some people, again, it's a survivorship bias. Just because some people made it across the finish line, don't mean it's fair for everybody that's coming after them. You know what I'm
You're
saying?
right. It's not fair for everyone coming out. It's not fair for. It's. I'm not going to say everyone. Well, actually, you know what? I will say this. I will say that even though, depending on your circumstances and how you grew up, you might have grown up poorer than I did. But at least you, I, and every other person in the United States has the same. Like we have that. We start at the same starting line when it comes to trying to get ahead. Now, some of us might have ankle weight, some of us might not, but it doesn't change the fact that we're
Wait,
all starting on equal ground and
no,
we're
you
able
just
to at least.
wait. If somebody started with ankle weights and you didn't, that's not equal. What are you talking about?
It is equal because we're still able
No,
to go to
it's
the finish line.
not.
How okay, so how is it? Because there's immigrants that come here, right? That are coming from very impoverished lifestyles that have no opportunities ever, right? And I've met some of these immigrants, and they, like I said, they're the hardest working people I've ever seen in my life. They started out really, really, really poor, poorer than some of my neighbors, and yet somehow they became way more successful than even some of my neighbors.
Because
And my
that's the
neighbors didn't go through half of the stuff that they went through.
anecdotes don't mean nothing on a large scale. Like, excuse me, are there black people that came from nothing and made some of themselves?
Sure.
Sure. What you mean? You said sure? That sounded like I'll grant you, but I don't really believe it.
You know what? You know what I mean when I say that we start at least on like an equal playing field when it comes to. All right, fine. We all start at the same starting line. What I mean by that is that I'm saying that America in its entirety gives everyone at least the same opportunities available
It
to them. It's
hasn't
not
no, and even
but it's not
it hasn't,
discriminating
and
against
it's
them because of their color.
in a way that's not true. I don't even know why you think that. That's not true. Like, you can't look at because some immigrants made it or some poor black people made it, then therefore everything's fair. That's not true. It's just not true. Literally, somebody can have a personal experience. I'm not the white supremacist person. I think that individuals can fuck people up. I don't think there's a intentional person pulling the strings to disenfranchise black people anymore. I think that was a thing which hinders us to this day, that has happened in the past, and then now it just happens on a more personal level. There's literally somebody that can just be the reason that somebody is born into the ghettos that they born into, and then the income tax is fucking terrible, therefore their school is shit. There's only so much personal choice making they can do to where they can overcome all of that. And that's not going to happen to every single person. It's just not the reality of the situation. So therefore you acknowledge that there is a problem, especially statistically, when you see like, oh, this school's shit and a lot of these people don't go on to go to college. How about we try to do something about that? Because it's not good for anybody for us to have a bad education for anywhere in this country, because it's fucking America. Nobody should have a bad education, even if it's free. You know what I'm saying? So if the standards for free education are not the same, then that's a problem. And that's not just to affect black people. It affects anybody that has to deal with that type of situation. And for you to say that we're starting on the same starting line because we're in America is absurd.
Look, man, I think we're just going to disagree in that. I think you're giving these people way too much of an out. I say, look, it's your choice. You're choosing to stay in this situation.
Your mindset is almost like everybody can be LeBron, and that's just ridiculous.
Well, here's the thing: like everyone has the opportunity to be LeBron, but they just don't take those opportunities.
Okay, so
I
no,
seriously
that's
believe
not.
that.
That is not
So
true. It's not true. It is not. It just sounds like you just so ignorant to what like people go through.
look, like I said,
Everybody does not have the opportunity to be LeBron. They just don't.
but everyone has an opportunity to at least not be poor. You might not have the opportunity to be a billionaire, sure,
What do you
but you have the
mean?
opportunity to not be poor.
See, now you're changing what you just said. I said you acting like everybody got the chance. LeBron is equivalent to billionaire, and you're like, yeah, everybody got that opportunity. It's like, well, no, because by definition, everybody can't be a billionaire because it wouldn't mean shit. So by that alone, you know that there's a point that, like, especially if we're living in a capitalist society, there got to be people at the bottom, right? There has to be, by definition.
Here's the thing: what creates those people at the bottom? It's choice.
You tell me.
You're gonna need winners and losers.
Oh my God.
Look, man, I think you're just giving these people way too much of an out. I think that's why a lot of
You
people are not.
don't even give a fuck about these people. That's the thing. It's like you're
Why would
you're
I care
treating them
about somebody who's not doing what they're
because
supposed to
you're
do to even
ignoring the
try?
fact that they need help just to say they ain't making the right choices. You're ignoring the fact that they need help. There's
No,
some
we're giving
people
them,
that
but a lot of
need
times you just
help.
want.
There's people that need help.
Sure, and don't we have like don't we have certain systems in place to help certain people?
Yes, but you're calling them lazy. You're saying they making choices. That's what you're saying about them.
No. I'm not saying that people that are in systems are necessarily that they're the reason as to they're the reason as to why they're poor. There's people out there that are using certain systems that are not using it and staying on it. There's a difference between using a system to like at least help yourself to get to a point where you're not struggling anymore versus just cheating the system and just staying on it.
How
That's the
many
difference.
y'all it's like y'all don't interact with these people. It's just like to this world where y'all think that like poor people is just like yeah, I can't wait for that welfare check today. It's just like if I'm not
That's
saying they don't exist.
crazy.
I'm not saying they don't exist under any circumstance, but to pretend like this is just the ideal lifestyle because the way y'all present it is as if why y'all just don't be poor and just wait for your welfare check and snap every day since it's so great and it's just like the place to be. Like it don't make no sense that y'all pretend like this is just the life to live, but nobody wants to be in that type of situation. People are in it because
Yeah, because a
they
lot of
are
people
in
are
it.
lazy.
Huh?
A lot of people are lazy.
There's a such thing as lazy people, but again, I'm granting you the reality that some people are lazy. I'm granting you that some people probably take advantage of the system. I'm granting you that some people don't make good choices. You are pretending that there's not situations of people that literally are just dealt a terrible hand, and even when they put their best foot forward, they get kicked back down. You're saying they're
By who?
making choices
But who are
by
they
their
getting kicked
fucking
back down by?
teacher, by the manager at their job, by their parents. It's just so many
You think you
situations that you're
do you
pretending
think
don't
that there
exist.
do you think that there's bosses and stuff like that that are actually going to pull the racist trope to keep you down and not give you a raise because of your race?
Are you telling me there's no such thing as a racist manager?
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. Not on a global scale, or at least on a macro scale.
Wait, you saying
Not even
you
close.
won't say that? Are you saying that you won't say that? Or are you saying they don't exist?
They don't like what are you asking entirely? Like there's not racist people in the job market?
Yes.
I don't think they're racist in the point where like, yeah, I'm not going to hire this person because they're black.
Bro.
No,
You're so detached from reality. It's unreal. And that's the
that's
vibe I
crazy.
got from you in the comment. You're detached from reality. Like you really think that there's no people that don't hire people because they black? Like you really and
No,
I'm not
no,
even
I
saying
don't.
it's a
Not
lot. I'm not
not
even
for a
saying it's a lot.
second. Not for a second.
You so you basically think there's no individual racist people and you just think that. Huh?
No. That's different. There's individual racist people,
That's
but
what
I
we're
don't believe
talking
that they're.
about.
Yeah, but those people are not going to be like, I'm not hiring you because you're black. I've never been told that in a job ever.
Why
I've
are you
never
talking about
look
yourself? Why do you think that your
because you know why I'm
situation
talking about
applies to
myself because
everybody?
I'm a black person, am I?
So I've never I can't recall one single time I have been personally explicitly been had racism thrown upon me. I'm not gonna sit here and say it don't happen.
It
Like
doesn't. It
that's
doesn't happen
ignorant.
like that. No.
As a
The reason
person,
why a
as
lot
a
you want to
person,
know. Hold on.
as a person
You
that
want to know
can't
why a lot
recall
of black
one
people.
explicit racist thing happening to them, I am not gonna sit here and say that it just doesn't happen.
It doesn't because what happens a lot of the time when a lot of people pull this like racism trope as to why they're getting rejected from a job or something like that is
Matter of
because
fact,
a
I
lot of
did have
times
one
they don't.
happen. I just thought about it. I did have a racist experience. Matter of fact, but continue.
Oh, I was gonna say, what happens a lot of the time is that a lot of a lot of black people just are not qualified for the job, and that's why. And then they want to pull, oh my God,
No,
you're a
oh my
racist
God,
because
I'm
you
not.
didn't.
We're literally talking about people that have had racist experiences, and then you're jumping to the worst of the worst. Your arguments always are going to sound great when you talk about the worst of the worst because you don't want to acknowledge that people actually go through some bullshit. Like you keep using the worst kind of people to represent your argument when that's not a strong argument. Yeah, I could sit here and talk about, yeah, there's some people that's been they know they ain't got no job qualities and they went in there trying to ask to be the manager and they got fired and pulled the racist card. Obviously, I don't give a fuck about them. I'm talking about people that's actually done wrong and you want to pretend they don't exist. And I'll tell you you think racism don't happen. I just remember that it happened to me recently in my life. Me and my wife was trying to get an apartment and we was talking to the person that was gonna lease us the apartment, and everything was going smooth. They saw how much money we made. They saw that we told them we'll have the money by this date. We sent them our IDs. These motherfuckers told us after that, I'm sorry, no, we not gonna rent you the apartment after they saw our IDs. I don't know what else to attribute that to besides racism. You
You're
saw
telling
our
me they looked
faces.
at your ID and wait. You're telling me that they looked at your IDs and was like, nah.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm telling you. After we sent them our IDs, they
Respectfully,
told us
cap.
they
I
didn't
think
want
there
to
was a
give us
lot
the
there.
apartment. That's exactly what I'm telling you.
Did they ever see your records?
What I just told you, everything was good. They had our credit. They had we had the date that we was gonna get the money. We had how much money we made. Everything was smooth, and that was the next step we was on, was to send them our IDs. Sent them.
Look,
Then
man,
they
I
said,
think there's
no,
more
we're
to
not
that
gonna
story,
rent you the
but
apartment.
look, man, I think there's more to that story. But hey,
Of course, I don't know why you, and you're talking to somebody that doesn't put everything on race. You're talking to somebody that don't think everything is racial. You're talking to somebody that don't think everything is black and white, as far as like, oh, you're a white, that person's black, and you ain't give him a job, you're racist. I don't believe that. But I'm gonna call it like I see it, and you're like, nah, people ain't just treating you different because you're black. That's crazy.
Whoa. That's okay. Okay. That's different from being not accepted at a job because of your race.
What's different?
Because you just said, oh, people treat me differently because I'm this. That doesn't necessarily translate to I didn't get a job because of my race.
But you're saying that it doesn't happen. You're saying it does not happen.
No, not like that. No, people are just not gonna look at you and be like, nah, nigga, we're not gonna hire you, bro.
I truly don't get how you think that that's not a thing. It's just and then you said I'm black. It's never happened to me, as if that's the reason. Are you kidding me?
Well, okay, so I'm not gonna use anecdotes because you said not to use anecdotes, but if I was to use anecdotes, I have black people in my family and they never went through this, and even they will tell you that that doesn't happen like that in the real world. But like you said, you just said not to use anecdotes, but yeah,
Where you from?
California.
Oh, very liberal. That's funny. But
Yeah, California is a failed state, so
how?
because
Because you don't
the
like
property
it.
taxes. How is it not a failed state? Like what?
Isn't it the fourth biggest economy in the world?
Yeah, but we also have the biggest homelessness, and we also have the
Because y'all got a lot of people. People want to be there because it's a thriving city.
Actually, people are moving out because it's so expensive.
State, huh?
People are moving out because it's expensive. But that's
Because it produces a lot. That's why it's expensive.
Sure. But anyway, yeah, no, I'm from California.
What do you mean anyway? I mean, you abandoning it? Like, people want to be where you can make money. Like, I don't like, y'all, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, you see a problem and you just brush it off as like everybody else is doing something wrong, when everything ain't supposed to be perfect. Nothing's perfect. Y'all be like, oh, it's a lot of crime. Well, it's a lot of people, so obviously more people, more crime, more than likely.
Why is there
right?
a lot of crime? Come on, let's not be
Because
disingenuous here. Why is there a lot of crime?
Wait, what?
I said let's not be disingenuous here. Why is there a lot of crime?
Because it's a lot of people.
It's not just because it's a lot of people.
Then why is there a lot of crime?
Because people just rather, go and do crime and steal and do stuff like that instead of getting a job. That's exactly why. And I truly believe that.
Oh my God.
But
Wait. So what's I'm not asking you this to expect you to know the answer offhand. But what kind of places in America you think got the most crime? What places? This is not me. It's not me. It's just like your educated guess.
You mean like, places like New York, certain places in Texas, inner cities? Like, why are you asking?
Okay. So why do you think they had the most crime? Why do you think specific what do all the places that have the highest crime have in common? That's what I'm trying to say.
That's gonna sound super racist to say. I'm not gonna say it.
Cause they're black, fam. All right.
But that leads me to my next.
It's like I think you just don't care to think about things deeply. Like I don't know who got you feeling like black people are the problem and they're lazy and they just want to commit crime. It's just like, oh,
Because we incentivize it.
nobody's incentivizing crime. Nobody incentivizes crime. Nobody. Who is telling people to do crime? Who's rewarding people for crime? Hello? Hello?
You there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you there?
Can you hear me?
So, yeah.
I said, who did you hear me? Did you hear what I said? What I asked?
No, it cut out. It cut out. Like I didn't hear anything you
I
said.
said, who's incentivizing crime? Who's rewarding people for doing crime?
Our culture. That's exactly what.
Who is our now are you saying that only black people commit crimes?
We commit the highest crimes.
No, we don't.
I'm pretty sure like 50% of the population, or I'm sorry, 13% of the population is
Come on,
responsible
let's
for
start
like
with this
50%.
13, 50. Who also got the most exonerations?
Hello?
Who has the most exonerations?
Enlighten me.
Black people.
So then if you're saying that we don't have a culture where we incentivize black people to do a lot of crime, why is it that we have a lot of compared to population wise, why do we have a lot of black people that do crime?
Because black people are the most in poverty per capita.
Do you think poverty causes crime?
Yes. Poverty is heavily linked to crime. What on earth are you talking about?
No, that's crazy. That this is what I'm saying. What I said that
Who
I
do
think
you
as black
think?
people,
What group of people you think
first of all,
commits the most crime?
the biggest crime is I think
What?
it's like white collar crime or something like that.
No,
But
it's not. No, it's not. No, it is not.
white collar crime is not the biggest.
No. Nobody, and even if it is, we don't, obviously you already need to be in a position to commit those type of crimes more than likely. So that's irrelevant. What do you think?
See what you're doing?
What do you think is the strongest correlation to crime is poverty? That's like universally understood. What are you talking about? That's what I'm saying. You're detached from reality.
Well, hold on. You're saying black people are in 2025. If you argued maybe like in the 70s, I would agree with you. If you're telling me that black people um in the United States in 2025 are pushed into poverty because they're black,
You
that's
just
crazy.
changed everything that this conversation was. Nobody talking about who's pushed into anything.
Then why are black people in poverty?
What? I said
Why are
black
black
people
people
are the most impoverished people per capita. That's what I said. Then
why is that?
you tell me.
It's because I'm going to circle back to what I said before. Choice.
Dog. I don't know what to do with you. I can't. This is crazy. This is crazy. Like to just pretend like everything is down to choice is just crazy. Like
It is down to choice because you live in a society where you are
you're
Look, man.
ignoring history, you're ignoring data just to keep saying choice. It's just like I don't know how you think that people could just live in poverty for generations and generations and be like, yeah, y'all just making bad choices. Like that don't even sound right. Like if you just
It does sound
like
right.
you're saying like, yeah, this
That's one of the reasons.
family's been in
That's one of the
poverty.
reasons why why impoverished areas they don't get a lot of funding, and the reason why they stay impoverished is because of the crime rate. Now, I've said this
But what
before. The solution to fixing poverty or to fixing the high crime rate is you have to flood these places with cops. When you flood these places with cops, and these cops are doing their jobs to keep the crime rate low, then you have more people who are coming in
it's
to
a
invest in these
cynical
areas.
is that the word cynical cycle. It's a cycle. If you do that, I'm not even
More money.
shout out to Chris. He said $5 super chat. He said, I'm from Bam, Alabama. Poverty is a default where I'm from, and saying Cali is poverty compared to us is crazy. People in Mississippi drink poop water. And that's the type of stuff, like he said, the poop water. Another example is like people having lead in their homes. It's shit like that, and you're like, yeah, choices. It's just like you're just unaware of some of these situations people are in to just be like choices. You think having lead in people's paint is a choice? You think drinking shit water is a choice? Like, this shit is really affecting people.
Do these people have access to jobs?
What the fuck? How good is a job if I have lead in my walls? Like, how much can a job help me if I have lead in my walls and I'm growing up with that shit?
So I want to know, what is your solution then to somebody who's living in an area where they've got lead in their water and they got a job? What is your solution for them to get out of that
I mean,
situation?
I think people in bad areas, they need to spend more time funding them to I personally do agree that police need to be more proactive than reactive. I do agree with that. I think that you need to fund these people with more education. They need to help their school system because it's an investment into the future of this country. I think you need more after school programs. I think you need to I'm a person that think the government needs to step in for these type of things. I don't know the logistics of each step of the way, but I think that people, they be like, throw money. I don't think you should just give people money. I think that you need to help their education. I think you need to help their living situation. I think you need to help them with after school programs and stuff like that. And just literally opportunity. People just need an opportunity. And then there's some places in this country that don't have that much opportunity. They are a lot less than other places.
We agree on one thing. There should be more proactive police in these areas, education, etc. Right, but it starts with the police. And the reason I say that's because the reason why you're not getting that funding for these places to invest in higher education and better living conditions is because a lot of people don't want to have to face the fact that there's a lot of crime in those areas.
There's
Because
crime in those areas.
if
But what do you think is called? Like, I hope you're not a race realist, because why you're acting like people are blacks, therefore they're going to commit crime, because you're ignoring the fact that poverty is heavily linked to crime.
So here's what I'm going to say, right? If you're an investor and you want to invest in somewhere where you're going to make profit on your real estate, it's probably going to be more cost effective for you to invest in an area where there's less crime than there is when there's more crime. I'll give you an example. If you have a family,
hold your
right?
example. I'm sorry. Hold on. Yes, Chris. Shout out to Chris, $5 super chat. Yes, they need access to jobs. The problem is you support a system of jobs that's so old and worn out past the 21st century. No one coal mines anymore. Stop. Okay, I'm sorry. I think that was
as I was saying,
but
anyway, as I was saying, yeah, if you have a family, right, and you're looking to go invest in a certain area, you're probably not going to go take your family to a place where there's high crime rates and somebody's getting shot down the street and whatnot. You're probably going to take that money and be like, you know what, this is not safe. I'm not going to invest here. So I'm going to go take this investment money. I'm going to go over here where it's nicer. And that's the reason as to why you don't have a lot of the funding in these areas, because of that crime.
You're saying what happens after the place is already crime ridden and impoverished. You're ignoring why it's crime ridden and impoverished. You're like going like, yeah, that's why people don't want to go somewhere where it's a high crime. Now then that's why the tax they don't produce a lot of tax in those neighborhoods. So therefore they can't fix their education, which is why I said they need to invest in the education system in those impoverished neighborhoods. But you're ignoring the part to why they're there and just going to, yeah, people don't want to go there, so they ain't gonna make no money. Well, how about we fix the reason that they're not making money? You have to fix the education. You have to fix the living standards. You know what I'm saying?
Well, hold on. I just said it. I just said, yes, you want to fix the education, but here's the thing. It starts with the police. You have to get rid of the crime
police
first
ain't gonna
before
fix
you
education.
No,
if you want to bring in
good education,
you can't just arrest everybody into making the right choices. That's not gonna work.
Sure you
why
can.
aren't you trying? Why aren't you concerned with fixing the issue of poverty? Why aren't you concerned with that? You're just saying arrest people. They're a product of their environment.
It takes investment money from people who have money to go in there and bring money to that area.
If the area stays the same, Then there's no area. That sounds like fucking gentrification. Then let's get more black people out of here and put them in another poor area so white people could come. That's what it sounds like. You're not concerned with fixing the problem. You're just saying arrest every criminal as if our prison system is about reform, which is not, which is something I advocate for. I think we need to reform the prison system. I think it needs to be more conducive to making people be able to acclimate themselves to society at some point, if possible. If not, it is what it is. But we need to reform people
Wait,
versus
hold on.
just hold them as animals.
You want to reform these prisoners? They're
Yes. What's the yes?
Really?
You just holding.
Wow, that's crazy.
First of all, your tax dollars is paying to keep them in prison. Wait, why are you acting like reforming people is a bad thing if they meet a standard that we come to agree with?
Because you know why? I don't believe that depending on certain crimes that you do, that people can be reformed.
I said it depends. I said depending on the circumstance. I said that. I said depending if they can actually come back into society. I'm not saying every person that goes to jail is capable of being acclimated back into society. I don't think that.
So then what would be the reason as to why majority of these people in places are going to like prisons? Because there's a difference between jail and prison. When you go into prison, it means you did something really bad.
I mean, yeah, but it doesn't. That don't mean you're beyond reproach of being able to acclimate yourself back into society.
Why? You already revoked your card of humanity, of being humanized.
Maybe depending. That's why I said maybe. All right, why are you acting like people that haven't like been to prison for bad things haven't gotten out and changed? Wait, you're saying, first of all, people have gone to prison and changed, and you're acting like if I'm saying we should put more effort into creating more people like that, like it won't work, even though prison isn't about reform right now, even though it happens.
Yeah, because I don't believe that majority of criminals or I'm sorry, I should say this. I don't believe that a majority of bad people are bad because they turn bad. I believe bad people are just born bad and they're just a bad seed, and you just have to get rid of them, get them rid of society, get them out of society.
I think you have a severe. I'm not trying to be condescending or insult you, but I just think
No, it's fine. I'm not offended. You can say whatever you want.
No, I just think that you just don't. I don't think you fully understand the psychology of people and or the sociological understanding of how people interact with the world around them. I just.
But
think
hold on,
you
I wanted to say. I was saying arrest the criminals in these impoverished areas that are doing the crime, and it almost sounded like you had a point in contention with that earlier, and I didn't get a chance to touch on that. Why is that?
Wait, because that's not gonna fix the problem.
I just told you it will. I just
No.
explained it. It fixes the problem because if you take the crime out, right? Hypothetically,
you're not just gonna arrest people into oblivion until like, yeah, y'all, it's safe now. Like if the conditions are the same, you're just producing more of the same problem. If you're just arresting people that's a product of their environment, but the environment is the same, nothing's gonna change. There's not enough arrests in the world. Like if you told me that the worst parts of Chicago had arrested 60% of the niggas that's out there doing crimes, I'm not just gonna be like, oh, I can move there now. That's not how anything works.
Yeah, well, I guess we're gonna have to disagree on that because I literally just laid it out. If you fix the impoverished issue, the reason why you have a impoverished issue in the first place is because of lack of funding. That's the reason. These places are
to address the funding of these places.
Because why would I fund a place that there's high crime? It doesn't make sense.
Because you want to lessen the crime. That's what I'm saying. First of all, for you to agree that the police should be proactive versus reactive, now you're ignoring the concept of being proactive to fix a problem. You're literally ignoring it. You're saying, let's arrest people, which is reacting to the problem, versus fixing the problem, proactive, which is investing in these communities to get them more opportunities. Is it going to happen overnight? No, but neither is arresting every criminal as if that's going to change something, as if the environment's not still the same.
Okay, so let me give you an example.
There's no number you could be like, yeah, we keep arresting people and now they're going to invest in this city.
Okay, let's use your logic, okay? No pun intended. You open up a business in this area, all right? You're trying to give more funding to this area. And then your business gets robbed and you lose all your money, or it gets burned to the city, whatever, right? All that investment money, you just lost. because you decided to invest in a place where there's extremely high crime rate. Does that help anything? No. So what you have to do is you have to crack down on the criminals. Yes, I said it. You have to crack down on the criminals. You need things like stop and frisk. You need things like,
Oh
more
no.
police. You need things like, yes, because it keeps the crime rate low. So when you have that, now you have a bunch of people who want to be like, all right, I think this is actually a good place to invest my money in, and I'm gonna give more funding to this community, and we're gonna rebuild it from scratch. Before creation comes destruction.
How old are you?
I'm in my mid-20s.
Why would you vouch for stop and frisk after we know that it doesn't work?
Because how else do you know if somebody's got illegal stuff on them?
We've done stop and frisk and it did nothing. Why you think we don't do it anymore? Like, it's like that's what it's like you have these claims and you think the world works a certain way, and it's like, this isn't how anything works in real life. Like, I don't get it. Literally, we've done stop and frisk, and the reason we don't anymore is because it don't work. Why do you think we stopped doing dare? Maybe age, or maybe dating myself. You know what dare is? I'm older
Yeah,
than
the
you.
what you had in school, the Dare
Yeah,
program.
the drug
Yeah, we used to.
program. It didn't work. Stop and frisk didn't work. 3-strike
Hey,
rule didn't work.
how do you? Okay, hold on. How do you know then
More
that
money,
somebody
more
doesn't have
money,
illegal
more
substances on
money.
them just from standing there?
Hold on. Shout out to Watts for the $5 super chat. He said, please ask him what else he wants to talk about. He's a true lost cause. His outlook on the world is way too black and white.
Oh, that's okay. So I want to ask you this because I think I was talking to you in the comments. And I don't remember which video it was, but I don't know if you believe in this, but I noticed that the Mr. Watts guy, I noticed he's so loud about racism towards, black individuals, and that's fine. I'm not gonna say that that's wrong, but it almost sounds like, he ignores the racism from our own people onto white people. And on top of the fact that there has been certain things that he said about white people that if a black person said the same thing, I'm sorry, if a white person said the same thing, they'd be looked at as a race. So I want to get your foundation on where you align with this. Do you think that black people can be racist to white people?
Yes.
Okay, so then I guess that was the other thing that I think we were talking about in the comments that I wanted to bring up. But we can talk about anything if you want,
Yeah,
because I want to keep
I don't
that.
subscribe to black people can't be racist. I can't speak Watts. I can't speak for Watts, and I know he going to bed, so he ain't able to speak for himself. He said, "Am I loud about racism? I feel like I don't talk about it a lot at all." I don't think he talks about racism that much. I mean, no. Matter of fact, I can under. I'm not going to speak for Watts, but I know what he's saying right now because I do the same thing. I just point out real racism when I see it. It's not like we race bait. I haven't seen him race bait, pull out racism when it actually, like he made the video today about Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was actually racist. Neon was actually being racist. It's not like we just try to pull race into situations where it's not obvious. Like, so
Yeah, but
I don't know, what you mean.
he's right. Okay, that's the other thing. I've seen his Twitter, and he is racist towards other black people, which doesn't make sense because he virtue signals that black people experience racism. Yet when there's a black person on Twitter, like for example, Officer Tatum or the Hodge twins or anybody who's like a black conservative, he's always calling them a coon. That's what just doesn't make sense. I think you have the freedom of speech to say whatever you want. I'm not mad at him saying that. I just kind of find it weird that you're gonna virtue signal and say, hey, racism is wrong and whatnot towards black people, whatnot, and this, and the third, but then you call black people coons as if that's not a racial slur.
I mean, I think I'm sorry. I don't want to speak for him. I don't know what you see on his Twitter. I see some of his tweets, but I can't speak for him. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to. I don't know.
No,
You gotta
that's
talk
fine.
to him. I can't speak for how he feels about that.
No, that's fine. I just kind of found it crazy.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Me personally, like I criticize the Hodge twins and Officer Tatum, but I personally I've made a conscious choice. I try my best. I'm not gonna say I'm perfect, but at it, but I made a conscious choice to, when I'm criticizing people like Tatum, Hodge twins, Candace Owens, I don't bring up their race because I don't want people to be able to kind of do what you're doing, is jump to the fact that I brought up their race versus the actual criticisms I have, because it gives you an out to not address what I'm really saying. And lo and behold, people still do it anyway. When I don't say, like, you a black person, going against black people, I don't say that, and I made that conscious choice solely because now people have to contend with my actual criticisms instead of being like, you just think all black people should think the same. And it's just like, no, I didn't say nothing about her race. I just think that they're stupid for what they say. Now, unless they say some racist shit, then I'm gonna be like, all right, now you on some coon shit, because you're like, you're trying to demean black people while being black and ignoring why black people might feel this way, and then I'll bring that up. But otherwise, I don't.
So what would be an example of a like, give me an example of a black person being a quote unquote coon?
If I'm not mistaken, I still wouldn't call him it in the video, even though I might think it. Officer Tatum, it seems like every time there is like some situation where there's a black and a white person, he takes the white person's side almost every time, and it just feels weird because it feels forced. That's weird to me. It's like I like, this is coming from somebody that, well, that's different because it wasn't black people, but yeah, it seems like he always is against the black person, or fucking who was that? This always, oh, who was that? I just saw Watts. Who was it? Did we say always? Never mind. But yeah. If it seems like if it's always like a black person and a white person is always taking the side of the white person, it just feels like some, like, all right, you grifting probably.
Okay, well, yeah. I think it depends on the context. I still wouldn't say they were a coon. I think they would have the right to say what I look. I get called a coon all the time in my lives because I said, I feel comfortable around white people more than black people. So, hey,
I don't know your experience for you to feel that way, but I mean, maybe, did you grow up around white people?
I did.
Then that's why. That's why. I've grown, if you've only grown up around white people, then of course you're more comfortable around them. Like
But that doesn't mean I didn't grow up around black people either.
but now what's ignorant is it, and I feel like you probably feel that way. You just feel like black people are more dangerous in general, and that's what's fucked up, because it's not the case. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like,
Well, hold on a second. Do we agree that black people tend to be unalived or assaulted by other black people more than their other races? Like
no,
everything's like intraracial.
intraracial violence is across the board. Most of the violence committed upon people is by somebody that looks like them. That's not unique to black people.
Well, anyway, so
Wait,
that's just my.
you keep doing this anyway. Why you can't just do that? You can't just be like, anyway. What do you have to say about that? Like, you brought it up as if it's like something unique, and it's not. Like, it's just like, you didn't know that, or what?
No, it's not that I didn't know that. It's just that I'm not going to sit here and say that that everyone technically gets unalived by their own race or that looks like them more than probably others.
What What do you mean more?
Uh,
Like, no, everybody. The intra violence is across the board.
So you think
Intraracial
white people
violence.
are unalived by other white people more than anybody else?
You're saying what group does it more to themselves?
Yeah,
That I don't know.
yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know the number of that. I don't know. But even if I granted you as black people, again, it's because they're the most impoverished, and you want to get away from that. I don't know why, because
It's not that we're getting away from it, but it's like I'm
it's
telling you, it's
literally, I don't know that many correlations that's stronger than poverty and violence in America.
yeah. But
And
like I said, like
black
I
people
don't
are in
believe
poverty for more reasons than the choices that they've made.
that's just not true, man. Like that's just not true. It's
What
all choice
basis
you
do
have
you have to say is not true when that's literally statistically what everybody knows, and it seems like you don't, and you're saying it's not true, and I don't know why.
because why can't you do the things that other people did?
I don't, because they weren't Do you agree that black people's situation in America is very unique to other people's?
Not really, not majority of the time.
So black people's situation is not unique, and I feel like you heard a word that I didn't say. Unique.
Like
You don't
unique, they
think that
only
black
experience it.
people is on a large scale, their
Like,
situation to America is not unique. You're saying it's not.
for most things, no, I don't think it's unique. I think we all go through the same thing. It's like that's
I'm
the other
not.
thing because I had an hold on, I had an argument with someone like this on TikTok, right? They were saying that black people, when it comes to like poverty, right, versus white people and black people, right? They were making the argument that black people are in poverty a lot of times because they're black, whereas a white person's not in poverty because they're white. So they were trying to use that example as like a unique experience that black people face that nobody else experienced. If you're talking about something like that, then yeah, no, I don't believe that for a second. I don't think there's necessarily a lot of things that we experience as black people that's specifically unique to us.
Are you not? Are you ignoring history?
Yeah, we could acknowledge the history, but it doesn't translate to what's going on today.
But that, yes,
We,
it does. It does in a sense. I'm not saying it's the sole reason. I'm not saying it's the one and only reason. But history is where we're at today. That's why I said our story is unique. That's why I said that. It's not about the past 30 years or wherever time point you're probably thinking about. I'm talking about the inception of this country.
yeah, look, man. Like I
You,
think America did a complete 180. I
let me
don't think
read
it's like
this.
the same.
This is an AI overview. I could use Grok. I could use Chat GPT, whatever you want. But this is Google. Is poverty correlated with crime? Yes, there is a well-established correlation between poverty and crime. Poverty can drive individuals towards criminal activity, and it also increases the risk of becoming a victim of crime due to factors like lack of resources and weaker law enforcement in impoverished areas. Like this
So basically, then
isn't a
you're.
mystery.
So then, would you give someone? Would you give people like gang members an out for what they do because they're in poverty and whatnot?
I said this earlier when I made the R. Kelly analogy. I'm not saying that everything is just excusing behavior. I'm telling you that you cannot ignore people's circumstances and act like everything is just a choice and you're either making good choices and bad and that dictates the story. End of story. It doesn't work like that.
Right. And I said at the beginning, I said yes. Unfortunate circumstances. Or I'm sorry. Not everyone is poor because of unfortunate. Let me backtrack. Unfortunate circumstances happen, yes, but it's on us as individuals to not stay poor. Being poor because
That's
of an
no,
unfortunate
no,
circumstance is one thing, but staying poor is,
no,
I really believe that if you've got two
no,
arms, two legs, and you're able to work and you're able to go and do what you can do,
no.
there's no excuse to be poor.
It's just
It's
not
like being
true.
fat. There's no excuse to be fat.
It's
It's
just
the
no
same. It's the
true.
same thing. It's,
I could even probably grant you the fat one, but not that's different. I'm not even excluding health issues. The fat one, maybe yes, yeah, you got a little bit more control over what you eat, but that would still be a conversation. But I would probably grant you that is totally different than your fucking lifestyle and economy that the environment that you're in. Like nature and nurture play a role together to form who people are. You cannot ignore people's environments. You just can't. You're ignoring people's environment and just saying like, yeah, make a choice. No, everything ain't a choice. Everything is not a choice. Like I said, because that's why I said your worldview is warped because you're like, yeah, no, there ain't no racist people, individuals holding you back. Yes, it is. Excuse me. You go to a shit school with shit education, what the hell that person's supposed to do if they don't even know that they could, if they don't have the time or the computer at the house to use the internet to look shit up, or somebody ain't tell them that they need to go and look things up past what they teach you in school. It's just like you're just ignoring every real life situation. And again, as somebody that don't even be saying that white people hold black people back, I don't believe that narrative. But there's
all
actually
right, fine. We
people.
agree on that one. We agree on that one.
Yeah,
That's something we agree with.
but there's people that just are dealt a bad hand, and choices don't change that.
Look, man, like I said, there's people that come from other countries that have nothing
And there's
worse
people
than
that
what
come from other
anybody.
countries and still stay poor. So you keep saying that like there's everybody that come from another country
Because a
don't
lot of
come here and get rich. Like that don't mean that's not
it's
telling
a
me
lot of them.
anything.
It's a lot of them.
Says who? Or they probably just be okay. There's probably what you think
Yeah,
is more. You think it's more to get rich or more to just be fine?
I think it's when it comes to like, what do you mean by being fine? Like just
Like they
getting by?
just getting by, just normal average people.
Okay, so you and I would probably agree that when it comes to getting by, that's easier than probably being rich.
Of course.
So if it's easier to get by and instead of being rich, um, that justifies my claim that yes, it is a choice. Then, if you are not in a position to where you are being or living by just getting by, that's a
But
choice.
there's again, even within that demographic, there's still people that's going to be fucked over too, though. Like again, you want to ignore them? Again, the immigrants that come and just come here and still be fucked, and they exist too.
Yeah, but they work hard. A lot of times they work harder than even most
You
Americans.
just, bro. I'm sorry. This internal racism is crazy, bro.
It's not even internal
It
racism. It's
is. You
called holding
just
my own
shit you
people
because
accountable.
you keep shitting on black people. You like, yeah, even the immigrants that come here from other countries, they come here and they still work hard. But then the black people that's here, they just lazy. Like this is crazy, man.
Well, hey, I mean, like we're probably not gonna agree on most things here. I mean, I agree with you when you said that it's not the white man holding us back, and that it's not all white supremacy as to why we're not getting somewhere. I agree with you on that. But I'm sorry, I think if you've got two arms, two legs, and you're not disabled, and you're able to go out there and get and work, then yeah, it's still possible to go out there and make a life for yourself.
Anything is possible. That's not saying anything. Anything is possible. That's not like a
You're
statement
right.
that
You're right.
means anything.
It's probable. It's probable. I'll use that term.
It's more probable for some people.
It doesn't mean okay, but that doesn't mean it's impossible to get somewhere in life.
You,
That's the thing I'm getting at.
I'm trying to meet you somewhere. It's more probable for some people. I didn't say nothing about impossible.
Okay, so I'll agree with you on this. If you're talking about income, like okay, somebody who has a family and both their parents make over like 500K, but this next door neighbor, they make jack. Of course, the next door neighbor that has the most money is probably going to get to the top quicker than you. We can agree on that.
I'm sorry. Say the last part again. You said they're.
I said the neighbor with the most money that can fund their children and whatnot that make over 500K a year is probably going to have an easier time getting to the top than the neighbor next to them that makes jack shit.
Of
We
course.
agree on that. Yes.
Probably. Yeah.
So
More than
if you want
likely.
to talk about if you want to talk about income necessarily, I guess you could say influence in how quickly you can get somewhere in life. Sure, especially if you have parents or people who have hordes of wealth just to give it to you. That's true, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean at the end of the day that somebody in poverty can't make the conscious decision to say, you know what, I'm not going to do crime because hey, that's going to hold me back. I'm not going to get a record because if I get a record, then you know what, I'm not going to be eligible for certain types of jobs in the future, or I don't want to get a record because I don't want to go to jail and ruin my life. Like you have to hold these people accountable when it comes to making their own choices. Like nobody told you that you had to go up there with I don't know if I can say this on your platform, but a GUN and go and stick up the
It's
place like a liquor
YouTube.
store. You don't.
You can
Okay,
say
well,
whatever.
okay, yeah. You made the conscious choice to go and take a gun and go and rob a gas station for $200, and that's why you have a record now. Like you got to teach these people that choices that they make is going to heavily influence in where they get in life. That's all I'm saying.
I know the choices play a part, but it's just like you just want to dismiss people that are struggling. It's just great. Like what I'm saying is, you can have two people that grew up in the exact same neighborhood next door to each other, and what I'm trying to get you to understand is because this kid, let's say all things equal. I know that's unlikely, but all things equal, this kid at this house ends up going to college, getting average person making about $70,000 a year. You can't say because he did it, his next door neighbor that didn't and end up making $30,000 for most of his life, that it's because he made bad choices. You can't just put that on him in the story and that's it. Like that's what I'm trying to get you to understand.
Well, and
You
I'm
you
saying, why
can't
can't
you
I?
can't do that because
Well, why
until
can't I?
you fully because it gives you, it doesn't, first of all, it doesn't help you fix a problem. And it just makes you have to not think about what the problem is or how to fix it in the future because you say choices. That's not what it is. Nobody wants to be in a bad situation. So to just say choices means you don't give a fuck about fixing a issue. because that's
Well,
not
here's the thing.
what it is.
I think the issue starts with us first before, other people get their hands on our affairs. I think it starts with us, as individuals. That's where the change comes from. That's where the fixing of the impoverished lifestyles here. It starts with us. I believe it's all individual at first.
I mean, that only gonna get you so far. It's not the whole story. That's all I'm gonna say. Is it any other disagreements?
No, I don't really. I don't really know what your stance is on most things. It was just that comment
You
on
commented
the
on one or two of my I don't remember what it was. Though it was a while ago, but I
I
mean,
can't remember either. I don't. I'm down to talk about anything if you are, or what. We can just end this stalemate or whatever.
I don't know right now. If I think of something at a later date, I'll have your Discord now, and we can reach out. If you want to, I don't know what Watt's willing to do. He's in my server. If you want to ask him about the whole being racist thing, I don't know what he willing to do in the future. If he willing to talk or
Yeah,
whatever.
no, I only brought that up because that was the comment that I was talking about in that one vid. That's why I brought it. But it's all good. Um, yeah, that's about it. I haven't really gone live on here. I don't really use this. I mean, I'll just keep this, but I usually go live on Tik. I can't say my. Do you have TikTok?
Yeah, I got TikTok.
Oh, mine's I can't. I couldn't post it on YouTube, but it's the real anti woke.
Okay, I'll find you on there. If you be live on there, I'll argue with you on there too.
All right,
You be on there
later.
debating or something?
Yeah, I debated with a lot of people.
Okay. Well, yeah, I kind of be on there. You said it's just the real anti woke. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna have to talk to you about that. I don't have it in me right now.
Oh, you're one of those woke guys?
No, y'all bastardized the word woke.
I didn't bastardize anything.
You using it in your name. You bastardizing it with the use of in your name.
Well, because of certain types of people that have ruined what the word was.
Yeah, you contributing to it.
But yeah, so can you blame me?
Yeah, you contributed to it. Yeah, I blame you. You're contributing to it.
Yeah.
What
Well,
did you
yeah,
What
no,
did you
I'm
think
not.
about Connor from Jubilee? Did you see that?
Was that the one that was what what's Watts reacted to?
Yeah.
I don't really watch Jubilee like that. I saw a bit of it, and um I don't know. I really didn't have any opinions on it. I don't think he should have been fired for his political takes. He didn't say anything really outlandish from what I saw. He just said that he was just
A
supported
fascist.
fascism. But
No, he said
that to
he's a
me is,
fascist.
yeah, but that's not like saying, oh, I hate black people, or I think that we should bring back white supremacy and all hail the triple K. It wasn't like he said stuff like that.
But a job don't have to keep you hired if they don't want to, right?
Not even then, I'm still going to defend his right to say what he wants to
No,
say.
he's not in jail. He's
It
not in
doesn't. It
jail.
doesn't matter. I'm still gonna. I think we should, unban free speech. I think we should be able to say what we want to say. If
No,
you want to make
wait,
the
wait, wait,
argument
wait,
that you
wait.
can,
There's no free speech in being impeded on. His job has
right? Like,
nothing to do with
okay,
free speech.
he didn't say anything outlandish.
Yes, he did. He said he wants an autocracy. He wants a top down enforcement of what the people that agree with. First of all, he said he would be okay with Trump doing what he wants, but not a Democrat. That in itself was hypocritical. Then he said he's a fascist. Then he said you got to be a Christian, and he doesn't even like free speech. You're saying he should have free speech. He don't even like it because he said blasphemy should be banned. So he doesn't even agree with free speech while you're fighting for him to have free speech. So
Well, I mean, look, I mean, I don't know if you know the streamer Destiny. I have respect for Destiny. I'm not going to say anything negative about him, but a while ago
interesting.
when Trump got potentially unalived, he made like a joke about one of the people that actually like got unalived
Yeah, what
as like an
the
innocent
joke he
bystander.
said. Yeah, I know the
Yeah,
Destiny
yeah.
lore. You
So
ain't got to fill
even
me
though
in.
even though I disagree with what he said, I still fight for his right to say it.
But
Like, I'm not gonna sit.
nobody. This is not a free speech issue. Like y'all keep doing that. I understand. Like nobody. He's not in free speech is about him being like being taken care of by the government. That's not happening. A job does not have to hire you if they don't want to associate. If his job, first of all, I don't even believe he got fired from his job. I don't think he has a job, or at least not a job in the sense of what he made it out to be. I think he's a fucking social media person. But if he has a job and got fired, if they don't want to associate themselves with a self-proclaimed fascist, they don't have to. It's no different than if a job says, I don't want to deal with a homophobe. He's not going to jail. This isn't a free speech conversation.
The problem that I have with the whole people have if you want to say that they have the right to exercise their freedom to fire somebody because of their political takes or whatnot, then I'll give you that for the sake of this, even though I don't necessarily all the way agree. But the problem that I'm seeing with this is that when you are punishing people like this for speech or for their freedom to say what they want, and I had a conversation about this on TikTok actually. What you're doing is you're saying freedom of speech or freedom of expression is okay as long as it goes by these guidelines. So you're tweaking it. You're saying it's okay for this, but not for this. I'm saying it should be equal across the board. And I'll give an example of what I was talking about. So somebody said, well, the teacher should have the freedom to fly the pride flag in their classroom without being fired. And I said, well, okay, then you have to grant the people who want to fly the Yahtzee flag in their classroom without being fired. And they all said no. And that's kind of what I'm seeing with this Connor dude, is you're giving freedom only when it applies to certain metrics of what we deem acceptable.
But why are you comparing a symbol of divisiveness, violence, and hate with one of acceptance? Please make that make sense.
Because it's freedom of expression.
But
it's the right to express.
Again, this has nothing to do with the government.
But
you're
what
not
private
establishments do with the government.
You're not understanding what I'm saying. I'm saying, sure, what I'm saying is that when you start punishing people for certain speeches or whatever they're protesting, when this starts small, it grows big because now you're punishing people who have certain viewpoints. That's my whole argument.
If I run a dog grooming business and somebody comes in and says, I want to groom cats here, do I have the right do I have the right? Do I have to like hire them even though they credentialed in cleaning pets? Do I have to hire them? If I have a dog cleaning business and they say I hate dogs, I don't really fuck with dogs, but I'm just here for the check. But they like.
Well, I mean, realistically,
do I have
you probably
to keep
could,
them at the job?
But wouldn't that be discrimination?
No.
How is it not discrimination?
That's not an immutable characteristic.
But you're discriminating against somebody who doesn't like dogs.
I have a dog cleaning business.
Okay, and that's the same thing as you having a black business saying, "Hey, I don't like black people," and then you discriminate against.
No, hating dogs, I just said, is not an immutable characteristic. And again, somebody could fire you for hating black people too. So I don't even know why you just use that example.
I'm saying the more when you are allowing only certain types of freedoms, that's not freedom at that point anymore. That's all I'm saying. If you want to have the right to not
allow, who allow?
The people punishing the others for their certain viewpoints.
A private business?
The society in general. If you want to use private business,
not society, because that doesn't necessarily attribute to everywhere. Why would I want somebody that worked for me that hates dogs when you have to deal with them every day? Why would I want somebody there that hates dogs?
You don't have to if you don't want to, but what I'm saying
is my point.
You're just all I'm saying is that's still discrimination.
No, it's not.
It kind of is.
It doesn't coincide with my business. He's a fascist. If whatever his so-called job was does not align with that, they don't have any obligation to let him work there. This again, he's not going to prison. That's what free speech is about.
Yeah, so I don't think he should have gotten fired. If you want to say that you have the right to fire somebody because of their political stance
I
or
mean, yeah,
whatnot, look, I'm not disagreeing that you have the right to do that. I'm not saying
that's
that you
my
don't have the
point.
right to do
That's
that.
all I'm saying. Like, if you don't
You have
agree
the you
with
have
it,
the
I mean, then you don't agree with
that's what
it.
I'm
What
saying.
I'm saying
You have
is,
the right to
they
do it.
ain't.
I'm not saying you don't have the right to do it. I'm just saying all I'm saying is that when I'm starting to see this pattern, it's almost like only certain things are acceptable under the pretense of freedom of expression. That's it. If you want to sit here and say that somebody doesn't have the right to hire somebody because of this, look, that's your right. I'm not going to say it's not, because it is. You don't have to hire somebody because of X, Y, and Z. I agree with that.
Yeah, but I mean, when you say this only, it's just that's just your bias leaning into it, because I can't name it off the top of my head, but I'm sure there could be a business or establishment that are right leaning and don't like maybe if you some left leaning ideal that you share, like I'm a communist, and they fire them, then they can do that. I mean, you ain't gotta like it, but they can do it. You keep saying it's like, oh, if you only certain beliefs, it's like, no, because even your comparison where you said the pride flag versus a fucking Nazi flag, it's a symbol of hate versus a symbol of acceptance. That's ridiculous.
But wouldn't you say that if they have the right to fly the pride flag, they also have the right to fly the Yahtzee flag?
Yeah, but if they don't
Or the
have
Nazi flag, I'm
they
sorry?
don't have to allow people to fly it. If you want to fly it, go open up your own shit and put it there and see how successful it is. Like, you do you realize when you do that, when you're an advocate for free speech, and then you tell other people they should let everybody do what the fuck they want in their shit, you're impeding on their free speech when you do that. When you tell somebody, like, if you're gonna let this fly, you gotta let everything else fly. You're impeding on their free speech because they want to convey a message, and you're telling them, no, you can only do that because you got to include everything else. That's an impediment on their free speech.
Right,
They
but
don't
wouldn't you
have
say
to
that
let
that's
anybody do what the fuck they want in their establishment.
sure? But all I'm saying is that don't you think that that's freedom of expression with limitations?
If it's the government doing it, yes, this has nothing to do with a private establishment or a state. Those are two totally different things.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, I agree with you that, yes, if you have a business and you don't want to continue hiring some because of views, I'm not saying you can't have the right to do that. I'm just saying I don't think he should have necessarily gotten fired. If he got fired from his job, I don't know this dude. I literally only saw that one video, and I guess he was talking about him being a fascist or whatnot. To me, that didn't spark me as like, oh, this dude is like what's it called? Um Saying inflammatory stuff or insensitive stuff. It didn't strike me as that. So that's why I said I don't know if I agree with him losing his job. But if you want to say they still have the right to do that, then fine. Yeah, yeah, I'll concede on that one.
I mean, well, I appreciate you actually having the gall to come up here. I invite people all the time and they don't.
Yeah, I don't have a problem debating. I don't have a problem talking about different viewpoints or whatnot. Like I said, I'm not one to get offended. I'm not one to say, oh my god, your stuff is wrong. No, dude, like you have different opinions. I have different opinions. So,
Yeah.
but I will say this: you were like one of the only, uh, I guess, moderate or respectful guy. Because most of the time when I talk about there, it's all triggering when I talk to other people.
I just match energy. If you would have came here crazy, oh, I would have been crazy. That's all. I just match energy.
All right,
So,
well, that's all I have.
yeah. All right. What you say your TikTok was?
The real anti woke.
The real anti woke. Okay. You could type it in the chat, so and just so I don't forget. Type it in the chat.
All right.
All right. Y'all. He said, Jesus, that was a lot. Hey, bro. Hey, look, I'm just glad that it's starting to come to fruition. I sent you that image I've made. So I look straight. I sent you that image I made when I was trying to do this, is getting people to actually come up and answer for the shit they say in the comments. And it's happening more and more, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate, bro, I don't know if you still hear Herm. He was in here. He's who I talked to last week. He came up when we had a disagreement in the comments. And I mean, if I disagree vehemently, that's what it is. But I know apparently he might be a content creator. He said he be on TikTok debating, so he probably less scared than other people to just comment. But when people get crazy in the comments, I'll be a bro been under me and Watts videos like saying some crazy stuff, as y'all heard. And I'm like, bro, I need to talk to you because this is ridiculous. I'm sorry, Bunny. It's just, it is what it is, man. Oh, man.